Welcome back to another Limitless Brave short. And in this short, we're going to be talking about psychological operations and the radicalization ladder, or for you folks who are in business, the marketing funnel and your marketing campaign. There's no difference. Typically, psychological operations are run by nation states, the military, things like that, cult leaders, stuff like that. The radicalization ladder is the process that they move that person through to get them to do what they want. So no different than marketing. We have our marketing campaign, our marketing plan, and then we move the customer along to get them to buy our product or service. Now, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk has lost his life and Irina Zarutska has lost her life due to psychological operations on those two killers as they were moved along the radicalization ladder to the point where they believed that killing both Charlie and Irina was a good thing for their side. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because as radicalization continues to happen, and we see it more and more because of social media, and we're going to get into why we see it more and more because of social media. Now, political assassinations have been going on for a very long time. This is nothing new. So how does someone become radicalized? How does someone become influenced? Why do you buy the Mercedes over the Honda? Why do you go to Starbucks over any other coffee shop? Why do you prefer McDonald's over Burger King? Well, it's all influence. It's all in how your brain has been emotionally stirred up at the deepest level. And any good marketer and any good salesman understands how to trigger the deeper parts of your brain, those primal parts of your brain, to get you to do something. And that's usually through emotion. So how do these psychological campaigns really work, these PSY-OPS? Well, first, your belief system is going to be shifted or changed at the right time. And then you're going to be emotionally triggered as that's happening as well, based on the media that you're viewing, the people that you're listening to, wherever you're getting that information from. These are very sophisticated, and they slip in underneath the conscious mind into the subconscious and the deeper recesses of our primal brain, where we are deeply emotionally affected and then driven to start believing things in a different light. So what is the structure of a psychological operation or a marketing campaign? Well, you study your target audience, you find out what their beliefs are, what they like. Then you start creating content and messaging to those types of people that are in that funnel or in that class or in that political party or in a certain community, whatever it may be. You start creating messaging that either aligns or agitates those people. And then you feed it through a trusted source: social media, the news, books, movies, the radio, other people just talking to you who have already been influenced or radicalized in a certain way. And then anybody that's good at psychological operations or marketing is going to be monitoring how effective their messaging is. And are people actually moving the needle for that person, that marketer? Are more sales coming in? Are more people joining the cult? Or more people joining the political party? Or whatever it may be? Is the needle moving in the direction that they want it to go? And if not, they're going to readjust their campaign to increase more negative messaging, more positive messaging, more emotionally triggering messaging, more distortion of beliefs types of messaging. And this is how it all kind of starts. And we'll get into a little bit more here. So some classic tricks are taking things that humans already worry about, already care about, making them angry with it, with messaging. agitating them with messaging, sending them opposing views with their against their belief systems or what you perceive their belief systems to be. And then you agitate them more emotionally again and again and again. And you do it through this right here is the ultimate psychological operation tool, our phones, because it's just us in the phone. And what does somebody need to start having their belief system shifted? They need to be alone, and they need to be emotionally triggered by something that's talking to them. So some of the other tricks that they use are oversimplification of very complex topics. You see this all the time in the media when it comes to political parties. During elections, everything's oversimplified. The government is huge, it's extremely complex, and very rarely is the complexity of the US government, legislation, and judicial system ever watered down to a very simple concept. There's a lot of moving parts. So when you hear oversimplification of certain topics and ideas, you're being psychologically operated on. And then they'll also use very trusted people, very known people to deliver these messages. And the messaging is relentless. It happens over and over and over again. Many different angles you're being hit with this messaging, from your phone to your laptop to the radio to the news that you watch to your movies that you're watching. All of it is programming you to think and believe a certain thing. This is how these operations work. So that's the basics of how a psychological operation is put together, some of the tactics that they use, and it's no different than any type of marketing plan that you use. You're targeting the person you want to sell to, you're learning about their lifestyle, what they like, where they hang out, what they do, the way they think, how much money they make, does my product appeal to them? And you're testing with your messaging all the time to find the right messaging that works to get that buyer in the door so they buy your product. Now, on the more evil side, it's what we saw with Charlie Kirk in Arena. Those guys bought the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and killed 2 people because of it. So where does the radicalization process start? Or where does your sales funnel start? Well, for the radicalization part, the more negative things, it starts with somebody being lonely. It starts with somebody being angry, emotional, somebody that's alone. These are the best times to radicalize somebody. They're also the best times to sell somebody, to sell them something that they actually need that can help them live a better life, be a better person. So you see how we're going either way with this. You can go negative with it or you can go positive with it. What's your intention? Loneliness is one of the biggest factors when it comes to radicalizing somebody or moving somebody or influencing somebody, because they're alone. We all want to be social. We're social creatures. So the best time to get someone, to move them, is to bring them into your community, bring them into your cult, bring them into your radicalized idea of your political party or whatever it may be. That's when people start to become radicalized, because, I found people that are like me. Now, we do this all the time in marketing. We bring people into our private communities that we focus only on what our craft is. It could be sports, it could be coaching, it could be travel, right? We're all being brought and segmented into little groups that are of like-minded people. It's no different than radicalization. You're moving somebody that is distraught, upset, pissed off about something into a group of other people that are sad, distraught, lonely, pissed off about something. And now you've got a great echo chamber of very bad ideas. And then the absolute worst echo chamber you could possibly be a part of is any social media due to algorithms. As smart as algorithms are, they're pretty dumb because they only deliver the same content over and over and over again. It doesn't understand that you're a complex person that has more than just one interest. And therefore, you don't get a lot of things that interest you. You get a lot of the same bullshit over and over again that is sometimes not even an interest of yours. It's because the algorithm doesn't know. However, as time goes on and you spend more and more times on these apps, this is how the radicalization process starts. You're getting fed more and more and more like-minded content for whatever your belief system is, and it's radicalizing you more and more and more and more. For somebody to buy from you, they need to see you now upwards of 300 times. They need 300 hits of you before they'll actually buy something. And when it comes to radicalization, if the person is emotionally vulnerable, well, it can take a lot less than that. And you can get that person pretty quickly. It depends what type of emotional state they're in. It depends on their belief systems, how strong they are. But yeah, it's a relentless cycle that does not stop once it figures out what you're into. And slowly and slowly you start expanding out into more radicalized ideas if that's the type of person you are. Or you start expanding into more like-minded things that are positive for you. Another big thing is all types of fake ads showing up, directing you to certain ways of believing, thinking. One of the funniest things that I see is the EDC community, the everyday carry community. You would think that we're starting World War II tomorrow or World War III tomorrow because of the way these guys present their EDC kits or their little camping survival thing. I have experienced that for 30 plus years of my life through magazines. Now we get it through social media. Oh, the end's coming. Oh, you need to build a bunker. Oh, you need to store food. Oh, you need this new shovel, this flashlight, this fire starter, this MRE, whatever the hell it is. We're always being attacked. We're always being sold to. We're always being influenced. Now, if you're a person that would believe that, you're living in fear, World War III is coming, I don't know what I'm going to do, you're going to buy the shovel, you're going to buy the waterproof matches, you're going to buy the camper that goes on top of your truck so that you can bug out. You're going to store all your food underground. You're going to be sold into that way of life. And again, I've heard this messaging over and over and over and over again for 30 plus years of my life. Now, I'm not saying that World War III can't happen. There's a lot of crazy shit that's going on right now that could prove otherwise. So, yeah, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, guys, or any other bad thing's going to happen. But we have to look at the messaging that we're being sold, the messaging that we're being influenced by. Unfortunately, the shooter for Charlie Kirk and the killer for Irina were radicalized in a very negative way. They were sold over and over and over again about how the right was horrible, it was a terrible movement, and it was stripping the liberties and freedoms of every American away, right? The killer for Irina, it was simply race motivated, and most likely race motivated due to some type of involvement much earlier in that guy's life that had to do with some type of white or black injustice, and this was the way to get revenge. And injustice is another big thing that anybody that wants to radicalize somebody, they're going to find an injustice, and they're just going to keep twisting the knife on that injustice until that person literally comes to their side and sees the light and creates and commits atrocities in the world. So like I said, the radicalization ladder is no different than the marketing ladder. You hook the person, You get them emotional about what you are selling. You get them into a community that is like-minded. You get them excited about what it is that their mission is. You get them to buy. They're ready to act. They perform the task. You make the sale, or you create a killer. Whatever your radicalization process is, your marketing process, it's no different, guys. Marketing is no different than the psychological operations or the radicalization ladder. I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's no difference. It is about your intent. If you have good intent, you can change people's lives so positively. If you have bad intent, you can destroy people's lives. At the end of the day, guys, the people that become radicalized, the people that buy your product, these are not weak-minded, dumb people. Most of them are very smart, actually. But what they fail to understand is the emotional components that dictate their beliefs, that sure up their beliefs, that crush their beliefs, that move them and sway them either way to get them to commit the atrocity or buy the product. So I want to talk about, it's a sensitive topic, but it's one of the most influential psychological operations ever run, as well as a prime example of the radicalization ladder. And that would be, we all know it, the Holocaust. That was well designed. Hitler wasn't some dumbass. He's a pretty smart guy. He thought he was doing the right thing. Any radicalized person thinks they're doing the right thing, but are they? At the end of the day, we know that was not true. So that is more, I don't want to say a modern day because it's not modern day, it happened a while ago, but that is a prime example of radicalization through marches, through propaganda, through radio propaganda, propaganda of all kinds, through in-person meetings, etc. That's how the Holocaust came to be what it was. That was an incredibly complex, sophisticated psychological operation and radicalization process. One of the most modern day ones was the 2016 Russian influence campaign for the United States. And I'm going to read about it here. They used social media to influence the American voter, created fake American personas across all the social media platforms. They organized real-world events, amplified diverse content, which reached millions and millions of Americans, successfully amplifying political divisions. The key technique here that they used was micro-targeting based on user data, posing as authentic grassroots voices, exploiting the algorithm and the content distribution to affect the outcome of the 2016 elections. This was the most recent campaign. We all remember it. We all know it. We all saw all of the Russian bot shit coming through TikTok and Instagram and every other social media platform. It was filled with it. I remember this very, very clearly. And also here's a more kind of grim one, which was the ISIS digital recruitment operation. Again, another online sophisticated attack that produced content in multiple languages to outreach and personally recruit through direct messaging any person that was on the fence about the US, the free world, any of it. If you were an ISIS sympathizer, this is how they got you, right? They recruited successfully thousands of foreign fighters from dozens of countries. The key technique was high quality production, personalized outreach that created a sense of community and purpose. What did I say before? These guys were going after lonely men that needed a community, that felt like any community in the US or the free world was not for them, but ISIS was the answer. And that's how they recruited thousands of fighters. All right, guys, I hope you learned something from this one. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't take a side. You should have your beliefs. You should believe in them. You should enjoy what you believe in. But just know that the person down the street, your neighbor, the person in the grocery store at the gas station, they're not that much different than you. Yes, they might believe things a little differently, but hey, this is America. We can believe whatever we want to believe. We can say whatever we want to say. It's when we take an aggressive action against someone because they think differently, that is not cool. So debate all you want, keep the emotions in check, and just remember, a lot of the times, guys, unless you're on the inside, you really don't know what's going on. See you in the next one.